I'm Brian Zane, and the opinions I'm about to express are my own, but they might be yours as well. Hey, UFC announcer Joe Rogan, what have you been up to lately? Being an asshole? Oh, so like normal then.
It's not the goddamn same. One of them is real. One of them is people that are battling for their life in the most difficult contest in all of sports. Another one is some weird fucking jerk-off thing that strange guys do when they sit in front of the TV and pretend they don't know it's fake.
After predictably whipping much of the online wrestling fan base into a tizzy, Rogan sent out a series of sorry, not sorry tweets in which he simultaneously put over and buried professional wrestling. Here's the kicker, quote, "Pro wrestling definitely takes talent. So does rhythmic gymnastics and synchronized swimming. Hashtag boom, hashtag suck it," end quote. Let me start off by saying that it's hard for me to take a mixed martial arts organization seriously when one of its biggest public figures is a lame stand-up comic who helped speed up the man show's demise. Second of all, I've never understood this attitude from fans of mixed martial arts who think pro wrestling is some vastly inferior thing, some red-headed stepchild of sport. Never mind the fact that many wrestlers out there are every bit as athletic as those who fight in MMA. Never mind the fact that wrestling is just as physically taxing, if not more so, than mixed martial arts. Never mind the fact that noted pro wrestler Brock Lesnar kicked the door down in the UFC, beating some of the best and brightest stars the sport had to offer and capturing the heavyweight title, all while battling a serious, debilitating, horrific intestinal disease. These fans will continue to deride professional wrestling and its fans for the silliest of reasons. I have seen comment after comment online over the years from people who call wrestlers and their fans every name in the book, including some I don't want to repeat here. I have personally been turned away with my wrestling show flyers by local businesses who are fans of mixed martial arts, and they say that they don't want to endorse what they call man drama. And why? Why are these people so angry over a product that, if they hate it so much, shouldn't matter to them in the least? Because wrestling isn't real? Because the outcomes are predetermined? Because the people involved in professional wrestling aren't actually trying to hurt each other? What pussies, am I right? Let's address the whole "it's not real" argument first. When in the last 15 years has anyone in wrestling ever told you that wrestling was supposed to be real? Wrestling no longer makes any pretense that everything is a shoot, and if you think they still do, then you obviously stopped watching a long time ago, which makes your opinion even less relevant. And one more thing about this fake criticism for you haters. I have two words for you: soap opera. Here's another two: movies, theater. The biggest televised wrestling organizations in the country, WWE and TNA, are scripted entertainment, just like any TV show. In theory, wrestling is no different than, say, Game of Thrones.
Nobody's saying it's real.
Okay, when you watch Game of Thrones and you watch a guy get his head cut off, you know what it looks like?
Yeah.
Looks like a guy actually getting his head cut off. It looks real.
Yeah.
When I watch wrestling and I see a guy get hit and go, turn to the crowd, I know that's bullshit.
Right.
It's offensive to me.
No. You do not get to compare the realism between one fake thing and another fake thing. That's like comparing the graphics between Mass Effect 3 and Super Mario Bros. 3. Additionally, mixed martial arts fans really hate it when people lump MMA and pro wrestling into the same category. You'll get an argument from me because they are very vastly different in a lot of ways. But don't pretend as if these two genres don't come from the same background. MMA and pro wrestling both are descendants of what was known as catch wrestling. It was a style of combat that was popular during the late 1800s. Wrestling isn't the red-headed stepchild of mixed martial arts. They're blood relatives. Furthermore, I don't care what anybody says. MMA is just wrestling without predetermined conclusions, although there are some people I know who would argue even that point. You still have the pageantry, the pomp, the showmanship, and the characters that are exhibited in pro wrestling all the time. Take a look at guys like, say, Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva, Brock Lesnar when he was around in MMA. If you were a fan of the genre, you probably hated those guys, right? You would see Sonnen's race baiting or Silva's taunting during his fights or Lesnar's swagger in his pro wrestling background, and you wanted to see them get beat up, didn't you? Well, congratulations, you fell for one of the oldest tricks in the pro wrestling book. These guys are no different than your typical wrestling bad guys. They are dedicated to get you riled up, which makes Dana White really happy because then you'll buy the pay-per-view. Mixed martial arts is taking more and more of its presentation from wrestling every day. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this.
This guy helped him win many world championships. You might recognize him from being in his corner for all those fights. And all he had to give him in return for thanks was nothing. Flushed him down the toilet like a turd.
The little mask that he put on, you're going to put this at the fight.
Everyone in the mixed martial arts camp likes to talk about how childish pro wrestling is. It's for kids. Well, to that I say this. Any child can punch or kick the crap out of another kid like what they see in UFC. But to me, it takes a grown man or woman with a fully developed brain and motor skills to be able to do what wrestlers do night in and night out, all without hurting each other. That, my friends, is an art form. Also, have you noticed it's usually the fans of mixed martial arts who are aggressively attacking pro wrestling and not the other way around? Not to say that MMA isn't ripe for ridicule. For example, I could say that mixed martial arts is a homoerotic display of sweaty dick punching with more pelvic grinding than a high school dance. But I wouldn't say that because I have a deep respect for the athletes involved. Furthermore, I could also say that fans of mixed martial arts are rock star drinking Neanderthal frat boy D-bags who think they look tough when they wear Affliction t-shirts, and they probably think that War Machine was in the right. But I wouldn't say that either, because who am I to criticize people for what they enjoy? In all seriousness, though, I don't think mixed martial arts is bad. I think it's a fine sport. It's great that people enjoy it. I'm not saying that one is better or worse than the other, because in all honesty, they're not meant to be compared. One's a performance, okay? One's legitimate sport. That much is true. But there's nothing illegitimate about the men and the women who operate in the world of pro wrestling and the sacrifices they have made to get to where they are. To say anything otherwise, that is what's childish. So Joe Rogan, keep on appealing to your fan base by making fun of pro wrestling. That's all right with me. I'm going to take the high road here. I won't take the low road and say the only reason you spent so many years taking Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is because you have such a punchable face and you just want to defend yourself. Just stay out of our business, and we'll stay out of yours. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.
It's a place where men can come together. Look at the hands on this chick named Heather. Jockey girls on trampolines, time to loosen those blue jeans. It's the